Wow, check this out. It was just a couple of weeks ago that Minnesota was being lauded as a Super Bowl contender. Now you take a look at what's happened. The Vikings are sinking rapidly, and that brings us to our hardy perennial of midseason segments, Contenders or Pretenders. Mindful that my colleague here picked who to be the Super Bowl favorite?
Minnesota Vikings out of the NFC. Here's the deal. You know, injuries catch up to teams in different ways, and certainly this team has been ravaged by injuries, especially on the offensive side of the ball. You have Blair Walsh missing kicks. That's a killer. They're actually working out kickers this week as we speak. I don't know if they'll make a change or not. It seems kind of shallow to me if they do, but that goes back to last year's playoff game with the Seattle Seahawks. The other aspect is you have a offensive coordinator that just basically left the building for whatever reason. So there's a lot of adversity, as you heard Mike Zimmer talk about. I love adversity. I love adversity. Well, he's seen it now, and somehow this is where your head coach. Now, he doesn't have Philip Rivers as a quarterback. He doesn't have that dynamic personality that you were talking about earlier in the show. But now it's up to him to get this team back on track, and they certainly have to find their confidence.
You think they can get back on track?
Yeah, I do. I think they're still a contender. I am not throwing in the towel on them yet because I know their defense is still going to be tough here the second half of the season.
Adversity always finds its way on your football team during a football season.
No matter what.
Every team faces it, you know, in one form or another. Of course, they're really in the midst of a big one here, just because the way they lost the Chicago Bears, we didn't expect them to lose that game. The game they lost this past weekend to the Detroit Lions. But when you have an offensive line that's not good, and their offensive line is not good, it's almost impossible for a team to overcome it. Now, can they fix it up with play calling, little different designs, maybe under Pat Shurmur? Yes, they need to do that. And here's the biggest reason why. Not only for their offense, but they got to protect the most valuable asset of the football team, which is what? Is their defense.
That's right.
Give their defense some rest. And, you know, I looked it over. They have so many good players, but they're on the field more because their offense is not doing well. They're playing a lot of plays, so they're getting tired, and teams are making plays against that defense that we did not see them make early in the year. Now, to correct it, I would say this to Coach Mike Zimmer. Here, I'm going to coach him.
Yes.
But your defense is the star of what you're trying to do. They can't sit back. They got to go ahead and let this defense go, and I would want them to be more aggressive than they are right now to control these football games.
Let me get the AFC side of the house in this one as well. The Steelers, they won 4 in a row starting. Lost the last 3. Contenders or pretenders?
Still contenders, and the reason they're contenders is because they're in a division that they can win with a 9-7 record. You know, it's not like the Dallas Cowboys are running away with the division. This is a division where these teams are right on top of each other. Baltimore did a good job of saving their season, I thought, last week by beating the Steelers in their building. And I also think the Steelers did the smart thing by playing Ben Roethlisberger. And why do I say that?
Smart?
Yeah, I'll tell you why. Because this week they got the Dallas Cowboys. They will be revved up for the Dallas Cowboys coming to town, and Ben Roethlisberger will get that, you know, get a rhythm. He got it towards the end of that Baltimore game.
Yeah, got a little rhythm. What would worry me if they're a contender is a couple things. One, do they have a guy that can get to the quarterback in the crucial moments when you talk about the Steelers? That's a big problem. Do they have a defensive secondary? Is there a guy back there that can shut a receiver down one-on-one?
No.
So those are two big things to overcome. And they have injuries at wide receiver. Now, when those other wide receivers are hurt, it's affecting Antonio Brown. All of a sudden, well, we're not worried about these other guys as much. Now we can focus on him, and we see some of the troubles he's having. So those are a lot of things, I think, to overcome. And the same thing for them that I said about Minnesota. Their defensive stars basically play every snap of the game. Stephon Tuitt, last week against Baltimore, played every play. That's asking a lot of a defensive lineman.
It's a real quick one here. You guys, when you played, were you anticipating that at some point there was going to be some adversity that you had to deal with?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. 100%. Everybody deals with it, all 32 teams, all 32 coaches.
JB,
yes.
the game is about adversity.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's
Every
happen.
play's got adversity in
You
it.
got to react to it, and you got to react to it well, and you got to be willing to make changes.
Professors Phil Simms and Boomer Esiason.
Well, thank you.